Now, I'd heard of the Life is Strange series and how praised it is from the first entry in 2015, Life is Strange, to the latest one, Life is Strange True Colors. While there were mixed reviews on this game in particular has taken my eye, and I think that's mainly due to it being a very new release compared to 2015 and 2018, meaning the graphics alone and the detail of the game really stood out to me at first glance. So though some may find it odd that I'm playing this game first, I've heard it's fine whatever one you decide to start on. They're separate storylines and characters just following the same overall theme. However, don't worry, I will play the rest. And this theme being you following a journey of a character who has supernatural abilities. In True Colors, we follow Alex Chen, who can see and feel other people's strong emotions. This is known as empathy. The game also heavily includes your own decisions, which influence the story and the characters, also seen in the other games. What surprised me the most was the story's pacing, and how because you're allowed multiple choices and interactions, the game really did play out how I wanted it to. Everything seems easy to follow and it just locked in place, and the emotion aspect being heavily focused on. This does mean you connect with all the characters you meet extremely quickly as well, and I love this. I really didn't think I would be so immersed into the story so much so early on. Now, moving back to Alex's ability, or as described by her, a curse, because she experiences many troubles about it through living with it. This is emphasised in the story where if a person's emotion is so strong, she will start to feel that emotion. Therefore, she's in the person's head. As you play through the story and meet with characters, it's clear that Alex uses her ability to manipulate people for mostly the good, but sometimes not so much. As you dive deeper into another character's head, you can hear the voice in their head and even trace back through surrounding objects that may give a clearer look or clue about why they are feeling this way, whether that be angry, sad, scared, etc. Some major moments in the story bring out these experiences and strong emotions from characters more. The decisions and empathy ability helps with the insane replayability of this game. There's tons of different possible choices and outcomes in the story, making it so unique to the player and creating a different experience with each playthrough. Alex's past hasn't been smooth and her troubles are looked back on throughout the game, with detail in her journal you can always check through, as well as her text messages and social media, which was a cool touch that has a lot of thought put into it for such a small feature. It allows you to gain backstory and extra information about her relationships or even past events she's gone through, even down to the detail in the comment section where town members have conversations online. As mentioned, you'll experience more troubles as you follow through, as well as unsolved mysteries to do with her family and herself. As I mentioned, the character connection is amazing and one of the standout parts of this game, but also an aspect that's praised throughout the whole series because you easily relate to these characters. A core part of the game is that it is very realistic for the most part in terms of relatability. It does cover the idea of growing up and emotions, therefore it is extremely popular in the teen age group, as well as the great bond between these characters as you watch them grow, and many other common areas like grief, love, bullying, forgiveness, disorders, etc. There's such a variety of characters you meet fairly on in the game, all quite unique and in-depth. Again, you easily connect with each of them. Characters like Gabe Chen, Alex's brother. She was separated from him in foster care, and as you start the game she's reunited with him after 8 years in the opening event, meaning Gabe introduces Alex to his people and the town itself, this town being Haven Springs in Colorado, a fictional mining town where Gabe now lives. It's quite a small place surrounded by giant mountains and trees, as well as some lakes. The world looks beautiful and has a great attention to detail. You spend a good amount of time in Haven throughout the whole game, so although it is a small town, there's so much to discover and you follow almost the entire story in this same place. The architecture and colours look incredible, with various shops that you can enter, a record store with its own radio station booth, a flower shop, a dispensary, the Black Lantern bar where Alex stays in, and a few more. Honestly, I love this setting and I think it's perfect for the game. The nature and lighting really does make it. The game does follow an animated look rather than something that's trying to be realistic, therefore don't expect highly detailed faces or textures in characters, though for something that does follow this art style, as I mentioned, the visuals look great for what they're trying to achieve, especially in the environment. Now, adding on to that exploration, you can move away from the main narrative a bit and dive into random characters' emotions in the town to learn about their stories and feelings without even talking to them. They're more like in-world events where you may overhear a conversation for you to then go into their head, but there's also optional conversations you can have with side characters which help build the connection, which mostly give dialogue options that not all the time but sometimes heavily affect the relationship and story slightly, even though they don't have to be done. Therefore there isn't really in-depth side missions, but for such a small setting I was happy we got some extra content, even though it might not be anything crazy. The main story and narrative is of course what makes the game. You can also interact with so many objects, with various pop-ups where you hear Alex's voice in her head expressing her feelings, and she always has something to say about the tiniest thing. It really adds to the detail and immerses you more into the world to make it so fun and not so plain. But there's also more interactive objects like games such as foosball, and when interacted with at the right time, you can play with other characters. More side characters like Jed Lucan, who's the owner of the Black Lantern Bar and plays a very big role in the game. Steph, who owns the local record store and is the radio DJ, who builds a close relationship with Alex that of course grows as you follow the story. Ryan is Gabe's best friend and park ranger of Haven Springs. Charlotte Harmon plays an important role and is Gabe's girlfriend. After splitting up with Liam Lambert, they did have a child called Ethan, therefore Gabe does have a father role. Another aspect about all the characters in the game is the animations, especially in their faces, which is pretty key for a game that is all based around emotions. They did a great job at depicting what a character is feeling, even more when the emotion is so strong. The voice acting and performance is so good. I mean, with some moments it may seem a bit over the top for some, and as an overall the mouth animation could match the speaking a bit more, but as previously said, they aren't making it look the most realistic, which I get, and most of the time they still do a great job, but it could just take away the immersion slightly for some players. But the performances from all the characters really help drive the story, and it does feel like an animated film, especially with this game having a ton of cutscenes. There's definitely a lot of emotional moments in these cutscenes and the story itself, which do make you feel a certain way, just like the game is focused on. And I played on PC with very high graphics. The game seemed to hold up pretty well. I only experienced the odd jump in FPS where I started to move as I first started the game, and then after that I never experienced it again from what I remember. It was only when I first loaded in for the first time for some reason, and even if it did carry on, I'm sure lowering the graphics slightly would have been fine. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the music of this game, which really helps capture the vibe of it and what it's trying to achieve. The soundtrack is so relaxing from the opening scene to the very end. The story and world of not only True Colors, but it seems like the whole series, they are games that do stick with you a lot, and you finish the games leaving with something that helps people really appreciate it. Even though I heard good things, I didn't expect to fall in love with this world as well as its story and characters so quickly and be so invested in it. When looking at it on the surface, it isn't really that complex, and for many people the music accompanied with everything else does make it a comfort game. And that's where I end my review of Life is Strange True Colors in 2023. If you did enjoy this video, then let me know by tapping that like button down below, and if you enjoy single player video games, then that's what this channel is all about. I have reviews on a variety of games, so you can subscribe to the channel if you'd like to. There'll also be a playlist of a series that I've done in the description down below. Lastly, if you'd like to support me by becoming a member of the channel and gain access to various perks, then tap the join button below, or there's a link in the description. Thank you for the support and watching until the very end. That was Life is Strange True Colors, and bye bye.